Hello, everyone. Welcome back to week 2 of Awesome Premier League season number 2. My name is Cameron Davis, and I'm joined by Moses.
Hello.
Hello, hi. Sorry. Before we get into today's games, though, we just want to quickly go over some updates to how the league system works. Originally, what we had was a kind of sort of a two-tiered lobby system, similar to season one's four-tier lobby system, but because of updates to the lobby size, it was originally 20 and 20, but due to feedback from the pro players from the community, Awesome decided to now decrease each lobby to 16 each, which means instead of kicking 8 teams from the league, they decided to actually double the size of the second tier. So we have the lobby 1 at the very top, which is the top 16 teams, and then lobby 2 is now lobby red and lobby blue, which are then 17 team 17 through team 48. And those two teams, the scoring is still the same, where lobby 1 still gets their usual lobby 1 points, red and blue get the lobby 2 points, and they're then each week they are seeded evenly. So it's not 1 2 3, it's 1 and then 2 of 2, if that makes any sense. But other than that, it's basically the same thing. It's basically the same great games, and actually not a bad
If,
timing to do so. Yeah,
if
Moses?
any, if anything, it'll lead to some. So the reasoning behind 16 teams is that it allows teams a little bit more space to kind of rotate and make strategic plays rather than being crowded and that kind of stuff. So it is going to it will change the flow of the game for sure. But at the same time, looking at the way these lobbies are set up, it's going to lead to lobby one, the premier lobby, I guess you could call it, having the best possible teams in it at all times. So it really kind of amps the competition up as well. So I'm excited to see how this first lobby is going to work out with the new team size, just because it seems, at least from the feedback we've heard, that it'll allow for a little bit of a higher level of gameplay. So I'm excited to see how that works.
Absolutely. And last week, everyone is still at 0 points, but last week was used as essentially the seeding week, where it was strictly just the red and blue lobbies, and then it was the top, well, now 16 teams were now in lobby 1, but because of the whole seeding, everyone starts now with 0 points. So this is kind of sort of the beginning. Last week was, you could argue, the preseason, if you want to, have some differentiation like that. But here in lobby 1, we have some great teams to go with us. We have, of course, Team Vitality. You got FaZe. You got TSM. Probably 3 of the biggest teams in the world, you could argue. But you also can't count out really any other team here. Air Station Mike coming up huge, really kind of coming out from the woodworks ever since the end of last year, and actually just recently qualified for IEM along with Kingwin and Vanguard. Neither of
Avangar.
those two are actually. Oh, Vanguard are in this lobby. Yes. Oh, am I
Yeah.
pronouncing it
So
wrong?
n- is it, I believe it's Avangar. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Russian team.
Yeah, ABG.
uh,
They used to be known as ABG, or at least they were in other leagues. Um,
yeah,
I don't
I
know.
think the only one missing from this lobby is Kingwin. Everyone else, as far as I can see, are qualified teams for IEM next month. So Method, Phase, Avangar, TSM, like all big names, like you mentioned. Air Station Mike is there as well. Team Vitality, the winners of the last IEM. So this lobby is like filled to the brim with talent.
Yeah, this is good. I mean, that's not to count out anyone else who is now down in lobby red or blue. It's talent across the board, I think, for the majority, if not the entirety of APL. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, lobby 1 is definitely the one to look at right now, because I've been saying this for a while. I think Team Vitality are the best team in the world. And there's always some question coming out of the long player break, the long holiday break that we had. But then when they came in and put up such a strong performance last week, they were, so if you remember when FaZe were at like their peak of skill level in APL season 1, they were so far ahead of of everyone else when they were in first place. FaZe, they were replicating that with looking at the points that they had from last week. So continuing to put up such a strong performance, and I expect them to continue to do so today and basically the rest of APL. I don't really see them stopping right now.
Yeah, the one thing that really counts in this game is consistency, and that is one thing that former AAA now Vitality has exhibited. You see the same thing with teams like Tempo Storm, who are just very, very consistently placing in the top five. And ultimately, when you're always in the top five, the chances for winning will always be very high as well. So Having that level of consistency is definitely setting the pace from Vitality. And teams like FaZe having just a poor performance recently in Curse, I don't think
Hmm.
necessarily means that they're any lower on the chart, but really looking across the board, like you mentioned, across all these teams, especially in the European arena, that the talent continues to elevate, and consistency is what's going to set these teams apart from the high skill teams to the actual winning teams.
Yeah, exactly. And I should take this moment as well to remind new viewers that we are also using the updated, kind of, I guess you can call them the competitive circles. It's circle settings that have been designed by pro players by the competitive community to create what is considered, at least right now, to be the best competitive environment. The general change is that the circles close sooner, but they move slower, so it gives more teams, I guess, more options as far as positioning and how they want to move around the map and how they want to play. And one team to point out by that is probably going to be TSM, because they're known to be probably the best team that are always on the edge, if not in the blue. And so they're one of the teams that are probably, I guess, buffed by this change as well. Just because when the circle is moving slower back, it obviously means that you can move forward at a less crazy, a less chaotic pace.
Right. And yeah, I think it's important to look at how the competitive environment is kind of now being not necessarily settled, but is evolving in a way that
Hmm.
there's been a lot of research done into how these circles are constructed. The European teams kind of used a large pool of data to kind of create these circle settings, and it'll also shift the way the game is played. Not only going to 16 players, but having these circles included will mean that maneuverability and edge circle strats will be a lot easier to manage. Whereas in past, if looking back to IEM, I've been watching that footage a lot recently, and you just see how the map becomes immediately crowded in the center, and that's
Hmm.
something that should change a little bit, which will kind of eliminate that third and fourth the depth circle. So ultimately, I guess we'll just see how it plays out, and we'll watch this first game cam.
Yeah, it's possible. Like, you could talk all alongside, like, all day about how the meta is changing and adapting, and I think it's more than just the circle settings that have changed the meta away from the hard sentry meta that we've seen. But getting into the first game right now, we're going to go away from that. The plane is going over in a very nice default plane setting for our very first game. A couple of teams going to Primorse. There's only one squad going to Military Island, so no one really contesting that. This is, I don't know, nothing here is really out of bounds. I think everyone
No,
should be
this is a
getting
fairly
where they want
neutral
to go.
path. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fairly neutral path. You'll see almost everything available. This will be, I think, a standard issue drop. I would imagine a Vitality will head down to Milta phase
Mhm.
over to Milta Power. It looks like Method is going to take over Pachinki, and we see a couple teams headed down to the southeast or southwest portion of the map as well. Military base in play. So just looking at it, you can already see how the reduction in teams allows for a lot more options for these players to kind of get around the map and choose relatively easy loot spots with no contest. So I'm not sure what that'll mean for the early game action, but looks like we're going to see some vehicles in play here as well.
Yeah, I mean, even with a default neutral plane route like this, that doesn't mean that you can necessarily easily fly everywhere. And so, of course, you still expect to see some teams dropping early. Vitality now, they often actually drop along this road north of Milton to grab their vehicles first. The other added benefit of that is that you have your vehicles secured at the very beginning rather than looting up, either A, have the vehicle stolen, or B, have to then contest it afterwards, only after like everyone has guns. So a lot of teams more and more have been just grabbing their vehicles before they even go loot. But already, Smack actually gets a nice little down, not a full kill yet on Udi or Mayfire, but this is up in Yasnaya where there's actually often not that much action, but there seems to be a little more this time around.
Yeah, I'm not, yeah, and it looks like we're hanging around the government buildings here. You see Smack running over to finish off UDR here, so that'll be an early exit from the game for him, choosing to save his bullets. So Smack landing what I believe the first kill of this game.
Hmm.
So ultimately, it looks like a bit of a contest for Yasnaya. TSM is there; they do have full control of it. Break appearing on his own team for some reason,
I
but
don't know why.
I don't know why either. I'm not sure if that's just a spectate bug, but it looks like TSM has full control over Yasnaya and should have an easy time looting in the early game.
Yeah, I was worried that they were going to be contested. Or maybe not worried, but noticing that there was potential for contest at Yasnaya, but looks like you forced the rest of Exalt Gaming, which Udu Mayfire hails from, more towards the East Coast, which there is more than enough loot to go around that area. But
Yeah.
interestingly enough, TSM actually going to Yasnaya, even with the lower number of teams, they still are pulling away from Georgia Bowl. Is this something that they've been doing more and more recently, or is that strictly because of the playing route and this is maybe a plan B?
Georgia Pole, I think, has a that natural divide between north and south
Hmm.
as we watch FaZe trying to navigate their way to Milta Power. I see I saw two teams in South George, but with the reduction in player count, I think it's just going to be a little bit of an option to just skip North George entirely. It's not needed to go across there. North George is a little bit slower and less dense for loot. The apartment buildings are much less filled with loot. So, and not to mention it's farther away from the circle typically as well. So North George not as ideal as South. So empty North George right now.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's definitely true though. I myself am, I don't like looting apartment buildings.
It's the
Whenever
worst. It's the least
it's
efficient.
terrible. Yeah,
It's the least
it's
efficient building in the game. It takes the longest to loot and has the lowest loot spawns.
yeah,
Not the
and
not the lowest overall, but for the building of its size, it's the lowest amount compared to like the six stack right above the apartments is really good. But even now, looking at these teams looting, no one's even gone that far into George unless they started there and have gone south. But it looks like mostly a hospital looting right now for Winghaven and company.
yeah, it's just quite terrible. You have to go up. You gotta. It's just the way that it's set up. It's the stairs were on the ends of it. That would be one thing. But the fact that you have to go branch out and then back to the middle, branch out, back to the middle, branch out, back to the middle, and then down this, like it's just terrible. But let's take a quick talk about this circle. It's pretty central. There's a little bit on Military Island, but there's maybe a 0.000001 chance that it's actually gonna end up on that island, if at all. I don't even know if it's possible. So most teams are probably just gonna bank on the fact that it's gonna end up on the greater Erangel, and most teams, just because it's relatively central, are already inside.
Yeah, there's almost no chance based on the amount of space that will shrink in the first circle that it'll end up on military. It might go south towards the water, but probably not. Just it'll be I think a standard issue center circle. So seeing an M24 floating to the ground there, nobody nearby in the Watertown area as far as I can see. So
Oh,
this crate is going to be oh well taken by
yeah.
Real ZX and Player Jones here running over seeing the crate drop. Have to be a little cautious, however, that there isn't anyone in Watertown. So Real ZX probably scoping out, looking in that direction, as you can see. But this should be a free loot for them if they want to brave it with no cover. They're very tentative. Simsy coming along to provide some vehicle cover, I imagine. So it looks like Penta's going to have themselves a bit of a loot fest here with that M24. So you can see now players now migrating for the first movement phase. Those have finished their loot processes. Uh, looks it looks like Air Station Mike is going to be coming up from military base. So still moving to the center of the map. FaZe was late to start their loot. They had to travel all the way to Milta Power to get started, choosing not to fight with Method and Pachinki or any other central base team. They had to go all the way over there, so they might be a little bit behind. But I think it's going to be a fairly easy transition here in the early game.
Yeah, it seemed to struggle a little bit finding vehicles and actually getting everyone over to military Milta Power. But it's still phase, so definitely can't count them out. Coming a little late to the circle than what you usually expect from them. They were actually one of the teams that kind of originated the Century better, or at least kind of took it and put their own stamp on it, just because of how dominant they were in the early days. But in any case, actually going to be Tiger Mafia right now running on foot, which is always dangerous. But I was talking to Raptor recently, and he was saying that he thinks that cars are over, what's the word?
Utilized. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're overutilized in the sense that they provide equal benefit as well as danger to your team. Like they can allow for quick rotates, movements, etc. But you are 100% vulnerable while driving that car. We see here Ewan actually under fire now from Erky over in the barn building. They're taking some fire. So Air Station Mike, after their transition off of military base, sending their scout player out to find somewhere to go. Ewan landing, getting some shots land on here. Not all the way behind cover. Might get down here. Erky's pushed out. He peeks again. Ewan returns fire, taking him down. So nice turn there for Ewan, putting some pressure back onto team 15 here. It looks like Opji off to the left there. They're just kind of chilling. Here comes the support. Now we have more players. Yank has shown up, getting a flank onto OP here, or OG, I should say, all the way out of the blue crates. So this positioning is interesting. They've given up their building cover to kind of come out and press air station. This is fairly aggressive, and now have left himself with very little options here. Opshi in trouble, looking for a space to med. Ewan joining his teammate, looking to finish this kill here on Erky. Erky going to be going down here. As looks like here comes a nade as well. Well placed right next to him. That's right next to him. He might, oh, he does land it. So very nice nade there. Looks like that's going to be it for the two players here, because they have no support anywhere near them. So Air Station Mike bringing the heat here, and I don't know why they jumped out of that building cover to try and press onto him. They must have assumed that he was by himself, but clearly not, as the rest of Air Station Mike shows up to take over this little compound.
He was by himself at the very beginning, but the fact that they pressed at the building, Airwick did, just because they already almost had such a nice crossfire to hit like all angles behind that tree. He just needed a little more degrees onto his right side, and he had it, but he wasn't able to land the final shot while the meds were going off, which gave Ewing the perfect opportunity to go up and land that counter kill. And then because he already had the heals going off while he was actually taking his own shots, he just pressed out immediately. And once it became a 1v1 and then the backup arrived, it just fell all the way back into Air Station Mike's favor. And so it actually wasn't that bad of a situation for those two players from Royal Banditos. It really was just Ewing just getting that opening kill, which was absolutely unexpected, I think, from anyone. So amazing play by him right now, but a lot of shots going out into a field, onto a spinning buggy, and that's not a very good situation. Losing all of your momentum, losing your tires, had to pop out. Winghaven not in a good spot right now, hiding behind the buggy. Only good use right now is cover, but the shoulder is still spotted, and he gets dropped, and I don't think he's going to get picked up. He does have some teammates coming up from the east side, but they're not stepping by. They're just going to keep driving past.
Yeah, there's a time where you basically have to cut your losses, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. So the buggy spin is new in this most recent patch, so not as stable as it used to be. So once one of those wheels goes out, you're kind of in trouble. So Winghaven going out of this game early as well. So that's an unfortunate event for him. We see Method defending Pachinki here, shooting out towards Tony Hayes, etc. They're occupying the building complex across from Pachinki. But Method in full control of that South Pachinki Horn area with all those double stack residential. So very powerful spot there. Have full control of the field and looking out towards those houses there as well.
So the game's, now that everyone's kind of sort of finding their spot, we do still see a couple of teams coming in from the northeast. That's going to be Team 10 specifically. Oh God, this team. Zukt Nam. I think I did that right. I'd try my best. Trust me. I apologize.
Nice.
Oh God.
What language is that?
I don't know.
Danish. That's my guess.
I think. Well, anyway, the game slowed down right now. We're still at 17 teams, so no team out of it just yet. And by 17, I mean 16. It's just Break is doing his own rebellion thing.
Yeah, he's got his own team. So that was actually we were just looking at Big Clan there. Looked like they were hanging out across from Method. So I don't know if this actually looks right to them as well, or if it shows as 4 in their in game. I hope that's just a spectate bug. We see FaZe has come in as well. So right now it's just gonna be some trading situation. I did see someone go down from Big. I believe I see a down symbol there. Yeah, it looks like Tony Sosa is down there. So Big taking a casualty. That's the kind of issue when you have these peeking battles from across the way, is you might not, like, this kill isn't going to get finished, I don't believe. But
you gotta get behind and covered.
Well, yeah, he's down and away. Right now, it's not an emergency situation, but it's the erosion of your meds and your armor as Method continues to put pressure onto you. Even those 1 and 2 hits onto your armor can mean a big difference later on when there's just no opportunities to replace that loot. You know, having the opportunity to loot after winning a team fight, fairly rare. Method looking like they're going to pull back into Pachinki. Might have spotted a crate dropping somewhere. I'm not sure where that one's landing, but it's really far away from them. Disregard. So FaZe now moving in, getting relatively close to Penta, and we see Tiger Mafia in the middle of them as well. So Hacks here is going to be scouting out, drives right past MZ Doom, comes right over top of him. Right over top of him does he go through that area. So hit that scout mission relatively successful without any casualties. rest of his team now rotating around. They're looking like they're going to try and pressure regardless here, coming in on this little hill ridge. They do spot Simsy. He's out in the open. Pressure coming now. Hacks getting pressure of his own. Penta doing some good job supporting here as they all fan out looking to defend their compound. Meanwhile, we do see another team rotating. Hacks going down here. Ultra taking him down. So that's a quick down there for them. Looks like the rest of FaZe has not arrived yet. They're not on this hill ridge. They're a little bit behind their teammate. So it's going to be difficult to get towards him here. So I'm not sure if that was a miscommunication or if they just decided which ridge to go to a little bit further away. So a lot of shots being received here by FaZe. Penta doing a good job of trading right now. So FaZe looking for a seam here, unable to do so, and Penta being very aggressive, just trying to maintain that vision, not allowing any peeks to come out from FaZe for return fire. Mixie looking for an angle, trying to see if he can grab something here, just putting pressure there. No hits landing right now for FaZe, all damage coming onto them. So this is a bit of a backward situation, as I believe they might be getting pressure from another side as well. I think I saw bullets hitting to their right. So FaZe now having to try and save Hacks. Here comes Jempty. Jempty trying to get over there. This is a high risk situation now. They are well in the open. If Penta decides to press here, this will be a big situation. So that nade coming out, that's good game sense right there. Simsy knowing that the res coming out, hearing that vehicle and the nades come. So that's 2 down for FaZe very early in this game. Mixie and Fuzzface now having to cut their losses. You see Fuzzface pulling out immediately and retreating to the next hill backwards. This is now an emergency situation for FaZe, as Mixie is going to have to use his motorcycle to get out of the way as well. So unfortunate there for Mixie, hitting the tree with his motorcycle as well. So tough trade there. FaZe getting pressed out of that compound relatively easily by Penta.
Yeah, it was actually a little over aggressive, you got to say, about them trying to contest that, but there weren't that many compounds in the area. But nonetheless, over here, actually a couple of drops. APR, he does get one on the wick, and they're pressuring the rest of Purge game. But he's got to run away. He's taking a lot of shots of his own, running back to the rest of his teammates. Actually taking shots, looks like, from Exalt Gaming from elsewhere.
Yeah,
so
there's
a third party coming into this fight.
A bit of a trade. I think they're on the downhill slope. You can see Team 18 there on the top of your screen looking towards those gunshots. But TSM trying to get into the zone here. Wick down. So it's a bit of a back and forth right now. But TSM doesn't have great cover. They're trying to rotate around to get inside. You see Vis and Break together. Double peeking there. I am Phil peeking out as well. Not sure what the perspective looks like there. But Break is just... trying to get a level of vision here. No scope on his M4, so I'm not sure if he has any options for vision there. So just working with the holosight. Smack moved up relatively close as well. So it looks like TSM is just trying to get some level of left side positioning here, using that hill to kind of move in cover and get around them, as most of Team 9 here is kind of congregated in one spot around those cabins.
Yeah, Lou's coming in right at their back. Looks like the rest of TSM are going to be able to make their way inside, but here is Saiyan pushing up close, trying to make sure to see if they can catch TSM getting up even closer to them. But his back's actually turned to them right now. So if he gets caught sleeping, this could be really bad for Purge. They had a really good position on TSM at the start, but now the next circle has revealed itself. They're just going to ignore that team and go directly inside, trying to find a good spot. They don't have a vehicle, so they have to move just on foot. Luckily enough, there are a couple of compounds right in front of them inside the safe zone on the edge that they could use to keep TSM out of the circle, as well as Cup of Magic and the rest of Exalt Gaming up to the north if they decide to come down southward.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, you know, they've opted to kind of run specifically into the zone because they know they have that positional advantage on TSM. Now, obviously, that's not an emergency right now, but as TSM's trying to navigate into the zone, they will have that at their advantage. So we come back to FaZe here, who has come across Tiger Mafia, pulled up in yet another compound. It looks like they've actually returned back to where they just were a little while ago, looking at that same compound that they were defending before. So FaZe has come back. And meanwhile, it looks like Drainus and company are getting some pressure of their own. Longo shooting through the door here. It's might not be rendering, but Drainus is down. And a little bit of trouble here, Cam.
Yeah, caught out a little bit. Not too much cover. Taking some shots from multiple angles, actually. Not just to the north, but also to their east. Oh, yes, he can't even find cover behind that rock. Instead, has to prone down and just use the cover from the trees. But that's a nice nade. I don't know where that was from. Doesn't get a full
Yeah,
kill just yet, but those two players are down and out. But then here's Vitality actually now taking a lot of shots from Method.
yeah, looks like HC is just trying to hold this ridge again. That seems to be kind of the story of this game, just trying to maintain vision here. He does see that peak in the grass. Few shots coming on there do land true, so he goes down very drastically there. Another couple of damage points off the armor. They're not going down, but that poke damage is very important for this. As you see, FCE coming here now. Lots of teams outside of cover trying to break in, and they're having a lot of difficulty.
Well, yeah, because the big thing is that the majority of the cover is all congregated into one position, and so unless they're one of the lucky ones to find the few outskirt compounds around Pochinki, it's going to be difficult to find. The only other available is in Pochinki itself, and getting there is very difficult. You see right here, Brandish is actually having a pretty easy time taking out this player from FCE.
Yeah,
No
ours
backup
going
there,
down.
and nice nade is going to knock ours out. It's going to be very difficult for the rest of FCE to come up and try and get a revive on that.
Well, they don't have a lot of choices here. They can ride the circle in, but with their teammate down, it looks like they're just kind of waiting to see if any support comes. No need to finish the kill immediately. I am Phil, and Sonic's going down as well, and it looks like he's going to be taken out of this game. I am Phil also taken down. So Method and Penta kind of teaming up to rack up a few kills here. He still doesn't have a helmet. Sane still does not have a helmet. So this is very tough to be this far into the game with loot issues like that. I'm not sure if he was taken down earlier, but like I mentioned, very little opportunity to get that loot back once it gets knocked off.
Heat as well, also down from a Vanguard, still up on top of this hill. It's now just Drainy's the only one up, going back onto this engagement. Oh no, actually able to get a revive and then a re-knock. So I think it's still all four alive. Are those two? Have those two players not bled out yet? Is that what?
No, Keen's down. Keen's down still, but they haven't been able to get a res. He is now up.
There we go.
So it looks like they're going to be okay for now. Looking backwards here, we do have Dynamic ESP kind of chilling with Longo. Longo from LFO just chilling here. So we have the new circle come up. It is going to take Pochinki almost all the way out of the zone. So a lot of teams are going to have to move in. So we have Penta in an excellent position as well as LFO. So it's going to be a battle for these yellows as well as the remaining compound. FaZe still trying to find a way into the zone. I'm imagining they're going to go into the Ruins Hills and try and chill in there while the game plays out because there's not a lot that they can do. But there is going to be some decent hill cover in there for them. So as long as they don't suffer any more casualties on the way in, they should be able to hold this well, not maybe easily, but they'll have cover at the very least.
Yeah, okay. I was worried at first. At first, it looked like they were wanting to take almost the dead center of that open hill field area, but instead they think better of it and now go a little more north, which gives them more room because not that many people are going to be coming from the north. The majority of people are going to be coming from the south and the southeast side, just looking at where that circle has swung from. We do see a couple of teams going from the north, though, so they can't be sleeping on it. But right now, there's another fight of Vanguard getting breached upon by FCE. Once again, two teams both kind of caught out, finding themselves crossfire with each other. Brandish gets the first drop onto Keen once again, and it's going to be a nade thrown out. I don't know if it's going to go far enough to find the kill. I don't think so.
No,
nah,
doesn't
not
look
quite.
like it. So Avangard here coming up against the FCE. This is an interesting spot here as they're going to have to move towards them. Avangard choosing to hold a vehicle cover, not wanting to rotate around this hill. FCE is going to have to go left here, which is look like they're going to do. Drainage actually goes down. They're getting pressured from LFO, I believe, from behind. So I'm not sure what Avangard's choice is here. They are going to probably lose a few players here. LFO now turning their sights onto FCE, who is trying to do that rotate to get around them, heading to the Ruins Hills. So LFO playing a spoiler here and doing a good job of keeping pressure on teams that are far outside the range of their cabins. So Avangard looks like they've only lost... Oh, no, they did lose 2 players there, but FCE did leave 1 behind. Air Station Mike also showing up late as well, so it's getting kind of crowded over here.
Yeah, the FC, like you said, they did leave Missy behind, but he's got worried about Air Station Mike coming in and clearing the area. Tony Sosa, actually, another strangely lone player around this area. It is a little crowded over here. Air Station Mike, though, still 4 alive.
Yeah, here you can see the rest of Big coming through now, and they're not going to make it. So Air Station Mike getting a nice kill onto that vehicle there. A little late in that rotate and outside the zone as well. So I believe that's going to be it for Big. They are out of this game entirely. So we're now looking at the remaining 15 teams. It does say 16, but again, Break is on his own team. So I'm interested to see how Method is going to try and get out of Pachinki here. It looks like Penta is now getting some pressure from TSM. Vis down already. Penta has been doing very, very well at defending their dominant positions right now. We have not seen any breaks in their defense just yet. Vis
No,
looking.
break. You can't revive. You're on a different team.
Oh, is he seriously bugged out?
I guess. That's what I assumed. I kind of just assumed from the start that it was maybe a
Yeah,
misclick in the
maybe.
lobby. I don't know. But he tried to go back and get a revive, couldn't do it. Now it has to be another team that gets Vis up. But the Blues already on their back, and so they're going to be under a lot of pressure. The Blues really starting to hurt at this point. Toss on a couple of nades, smokes to try and get up close to Penta. But we know Penta are good shots, and Penta in a compound around the edge of the circle. They just load out a couple of grenades, but Break does find a lone solo player walking around. So that's going to be...
my God, that nade that landed right on top of them. That was perfectly placed. Ultra throwing a nade into the smoke and landing a kill onto two of those players. So Vis is the only player left alive right now. His aim also went down. Not sure if he was spotted out, but Vis, the last person remaining on TSM. Another nade coming here. Ultra had good work so far with those nades. Another one landing right close to him and takes him out as well. Ultra is just draining threes right now. That's the second time he's taken out multiple players, I believe. Well, at least Penta has been doing a great job with their nades. And that is going to be it for TSM here as FCE getting spotted out by Air Station Mike here. So that's a lot of kills in a very short time here, moving through the mid game and into the end game.
Yeah, Penta have been known for being probably one of the best, if not the best, nade teams out there. And even after a couple of roster moves, seems that is still the case twice now, as you mentioned. Some great, well-placed nades. Now the circle, though, has moved even further away from Pachinki. Not a single building in that city is inside the safe zone. Now is the time for a lot of these teams in the south to move out, and it's gonna get pretty bloody pretty soon. I can imagine there's only 2, maybe 3 squads in the current safe zone right now, and they're all, most of them, on the east side. There isn't that much cover in the safe zone at this point, so we're probably gonna cold down to, I'm gonna, let's wager here. I'm gonna say 8 squads.
Yeah, Vitality spotting out Method. This is what I was talking about. They had very little options to move out of what remnants of Pachinki, and Vitality has spotted them out. Method returning fire as well. They are putting decent pressure here. All teams are going to have to move. Method choosing to push that gap where the circle is moving its slowest, but Vitality has them right in their sights. They're not allowing any level of movement here. And it looks like Shadow has opted to actually press out in a vehicle and take away their escape route. But they also have other teams moving in just inside the zone as well. So I'm not sure if Shadow's going to be able to survive there by himself. But it looks like Method has just been completely wiped out by Vitality. So excellent gunmanship there. And that's going to be it for Method, as this zone is going to be very difficult. But Shadow, like I mentioned, under pressure already. Shiv as well. They are on the low ground. Nades coming out that look like it might be on target. It was actually, and that's unfortunate. 2 more nades coming to follow. So Shiv going down, Shadow still down. The nades are playing a huge factor in this game. Monkey down. So I'm not, how do you say his name? I'm going to call him Hayes for now because it's going to be difficult to say the rest. He's going to try and come in and grab a res here. Quick being pressured. So they might be able to get this off if they are lucky. But right now they're just having to defend their little spot here. So Vitality also finding some pressure on the edge of the zone, and the zone is right on top of them. They might not be able to use that hill cover cam.
Yeah, that's going to be a very tight fit anyway. And it is actually a very nice play that Vitality did to leave 2 behind and kind of make sure that the other 2 to try and get a spot in the safe zone were getting there safely. You did see Arax get multiple kills, if not even just get a solo squad wipe onto Method trying to make their way out. Unfortunately, though, once they got into that spot, those well-placed nade and even a nade to get a car explosion as a double whammy to get it down onto Shadow, I believe, was one that fell to that. Nonetheless, we're going to see if that little angle that they have on top of that hill is tight enough for them to fit inside relatively safely. But hey, look, down to 8 teams. I was right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, FCE still holding on to this. This hill cover has now become quite important. You saw FaZe just kind of lurking there, opting not to make too much noise. They're in the zone, so they're right next to Cup of Magic and his squad. So it's a bit of a cramped spot there. Exalt Gaming right next to FaZe. And here comes Air Station Mike. So we're going to have another fight here. LFO, they're playing spoilers all the way through this game. Jump right across. Longo shooting down. Trading. Fuffins going down as well. Yank still there. Neu going down. So now it looks like FCE is going to jump over the hill and join this party. maybe looking to steal a few kills here. Fuffins is down. I think I saw a couple of players go down for A Station Mike as well. Now here comes Penta. Penta's pressed out, and they're looking right on top of Tiger Mafia. Mini Fridge right next to him there. Going down is Mini Fridge. So Tiger Mafia in trouble. Crispier and company in the same position that FaZe was. Returning fire. Simsy goes down. So Tiger Mafia trying to defend here, but they have very little cover. Crispier going down. Player Jones doing well. Mr. TV, the last remaining player outside the zone. Behind the rock, the circle is moving very slowly, but LFO is still engaged in a three-way fight here with Air Station Mike. I believe we saw FCE go down now, who finished them off, and then Air Station Mike finishing them off. So Air Station Mike has cleared out this area, but are not going to have hill cover as they're going to jump over and into this zone really quick. Exalt Gaming right next to FaZe. Lots of trades here, Cam.
Yeah, and it's going to get even bloodier at this point because there's going to be even less cover in the new safe zone now that the blue is moving in. We do have Vitality coming in from the south. It seems that they've run to clear everyone else out, but Mr. TV with a nice final kill. Maybe not final, but another kill on Penta Ultra to drop them down relatively low. Able to get up close and personal. No helmet, very low, but takes one final shot actually from Chronix. From a completely different team.
Yeah, it was a bit of a kill steal there. It looked like they were able to steal one there. So it looks like Penta is going to survive with 4 up. Very important going into this endgame. Vitality still clinging to life. Your Shadow, I think, has been down for the last 5 minutes. I'm not sure. He wasn't able to get the res off. Hayes wasn't able to get the res off and is now getting pressure himself. Vitality on the ropes here. Air Station Mike have vision onto him. He's not a lot he's going to be able to do here. More shots coming in. Ewin spots him out. Ewin now taking a little bit of zone damage, having to avoid that. So Air Station Mike is going to try and finish this team off as they do have decent cover here. So it's going to be Air Station Mike, Penta, and FaZe left here as well. So FaZe, again, being very, very quiet. And the remnants of Exalt Gaming are going to form the rest of this four teams remaining. But Penta and Air Station Mike having great games so far, 4 up against each other going into the end game.
Not to mention, we do still have the 2 remaining members of FaZe still up and running. So, surprised that they're actually able to survive in this area for this long. They aren't too far away from danger, though. There is Fuzzface and Mixie, and they do have their eyes set on to Team Exalt Gaming. But Simsy here with the M24 that was picked up at almost the very beginning of the game, taking some long-range shots. Doesn't really land too many of them, but Ultra does get it down to Fuffins in the meantime. And so they're really just trying to clear away because there's even less cover in this next safe zone. All they have right now is this ridge, and Simsy a little late on the proning down, but is able to med himself up in time.
So Mixie and Fuzzface have been basically laying next to their motorcycles for the longest time. They do know there's a team right across from them, but they can't push this ridge to do anything about it. They'll have immediate death coming from Penta. So right now, I don't think Exalt has any options because, again, Penta has done a good job of maintaining pressure here, but they are still getting that's Air Station Mike we're looking at. Penta is doing a good job of maintaining pressure on Air Station Mike, so that's their only saving grace right now. But really, there's not much movement options here. They're all going to have to come in, and even FaZe has no little divots to work with. So this is going to be very tough for these remaining teams.
Yeah, what Exalt should do is try and take that tiny little bowl that FaZe are hanging out in, but YNCK getting some nice drops still with that M4. Ultra trying to answer back, and he's actually able to move forward. Yeah, Penta are able to move forward and find this tree, which is basically the best cover that's in this zone right now. Breaks are running forward in a little bit of a 1v4. That's quite ambitious, but not too much that he can do, and he gets down by YNCK once again with even more. And then Air Station Mike 4 alive, launching nades. None of them really finding the mark, not going quite far enough to take out those remaining 2 from Exalt Gaming. And Exalt find a little bit of cover, but the blue is still there back and not quite inside the safe zone, so they're going to have to move further still.
Yeah, you know what? The biggest story right now is the fact that that FaZe is unknown to these teams. I think that they're kind of confused as to how many are left on Exalt. You can see FaZe slowly crawling in. They're going to get, like, Air Station Mike has this in control with this hill cover. The nades starting to come out. Looks like Penta's just trying to clear out some of the remaining teams, just throwing them into divots. So it looks like one landed close to Fuzzface there. Exalt Gaming has very little cover, so they're just going to have to snake it in here. But Air Station Mike has this game nearly in hand with their positioning. But Penta, not to be counted out. Fuzzface jumps up, trying to take a kill, and Mixie, the last one remaining. So FaZe has found their way into the top 3 here. That's the best possible result they could hope for, considering how they started. Mixie just in cover, I think. Just on the low ground there. I don't think Air Station Mike can see him. They might be able to spot him out, but they're also unaware as to how many players are left on Penta. Penta having 3 up, Air Station Mike having to come out as well. So this is going to be a waiting game and try and take this to a a skill fight rather than a positioning fight, because right now Air Station Mike has the best possible positioning to take this game.
Well, both these teams are going to have to move from their respective cover, and I don't think the game's going to last much longer than this. Smoke's being thrown out by Ewang, trying to get the cover and get some nice long-range shots, but no full downs just yet. We also hear some powerful sniper rifle shots going out as well, so still pressure being tossed out from these two teams. That single smoke isn't going to do too much, and Jazza actually falls to Ultra. See if YNCK can't get an answer back. A lot of helmets missing for both
here
these
comes
teams.
a big play. Real ZX pressing right towards them. They use that down as cover, using that hill. They're looking for that res. The nade's coming out now. Nade's coming out. We've already seen excellent nades this game. That nade is landing right on top of them, right in the middle. Does a lot of damage. Knocks down Jazza again, who was already low on health. Penta now pressing the action, using this killer instinct. They're trying to get right into this game. Air Station Mike has lost that positional advantage. This peak between YNCK not working. Penta now on the offensive, jumping over, and they take the game. Air Station Mike having the dominant position. Penta using that one down, and look at those kills, Cam.
Absolutely ridiculous from those top two teams, both of them, but especially Penta. How many kills is that? That's a nice 20
I'm not
kills.
doing the math.
I think that's around 20 kills. I'm pretty sure it's 20, but let's say around 20 because we all know the how it is with, doing math on broadcast. But nonetheless, that's such a dominant performance. And you said it yourself, Air Station Mike had a really good spot, but Penta, with the aggressive play that they had that down, and then there's all their players pushing forward, and then their third time placing a well-placed grenade right over the heads of everyone from Air Station Mike, right below that hill, gave them all the opening they need to basically just rush forward and get a very, very strong first place finish.
Yeah, that was an incredible performance by Penta throughout that game with grenades. I don't know what it was, but it seemed every time that Ultra let go one of those things, it was landing exactly in the right spot. Props to FaZe for going into 100% survival mode and eking out a third place finish with 0 kills. So not the typical behavior we would see from that squad, but considering that they came across Penta in the early game and still managed to win the game, or to come in third with 2 players down, I think almost right at the very beginning. Interesting performance there. We see Vitality rounding out a top 5 finish as well, and Exalt Gaming in number 4 there. So Air Station Mike had what I thought was the perfect game as far as positioning and rotates were concerned, and then having it all undone by that one res attempt, and Penta just going all out with that aggression, recognizing the advantage. That's the type of play you see from the very top teams, where you see that advantage and you immediately attack. That's very important, and that netted them a very, very nice win in the first game today.
Yeah, it was definitely a high risk, high reward play that, I don't know, at this point you should maybe teams should start expecting this, not just from Penta but from teams in general. If the only way they're going to win is by doing some weird ballsy suicidal play like that. But nonetheless, very good first game. This is still a best of 4 series, so we do have 3 great games coming up. We're going to go to a quick break where we set up game number 2. Don't go anywhere though, because we will be right back.